Hello and welcome everyone. As you can see, I get to film outside. I know that it's going to rain again later this week, so hopefully it'll stay nice for a little bit longer. Anyway, welcome to my channel. This is the Wendy and Neverland channel. I talk about cross stitch as well as things that I've been doing in my life, whether that's yard work or things with friends or things around the house, different, things going on. So let's get into some stuff. I've got a lot to kind of cover. So I always think that it's not going to be very long, and then it ends up being longer than I think. So I won't say it's a short video. I won't say it's a long video. We'll just see. Obviously, when you clicked on this, you're going to know how long it was to begin with. So let's see. Because it was recently Halloween, let's talk about Halloween stuff. And I have a lovely little thing about decorating, and I will show you that right now. So I thought I'd show you just a little bit of my Halloween decorations now that Halloween is wrapping up. That way you can kind of see what I did. Show you this one first. I think I might have a little bit of a problem. My Halloween tree. Most of these are Satsuma Street. I believe the mummy is a Mill Hill, and the kitty cat's Mill Hill, but all the rest of them are Satsuma Street. There's a little cutie pie, little mice with the sitting in the shoe, and I actually have, I don't know how well, it's a little dark, there's a kind of a shoe, boot / shoe decoration that sits on my broom parking that I clearly have made a mess of. My Boo You. Fun decoration stuff. It's fun decorating for the holidays, isn't it? So we're going to go from this, now that Halloween's over, to this. Yes, I've got my Thanksgiving stuff out now. We'll see if I can do this without making too much shadows. Always got to have a squirrel. Squirrels required. We got Mr. and Mrs. Delicious. It's a great one. Of course, we've got our little scarecrow and the autumn harvest blessing. All that. This table runner here, this is actually the back side of it, because the other side I don't care for as much. It's all right, but I just like the coloring of that one better. So it's turned out nice little decorations. So yes, we have finished with Halloween, which I still have another story, I'll tell you about that. And we're getting into Thanksgiving. Sometimes I know people will just kind of decorate for all of fall, and that kind of encompasses, September through November, and then they start getting into Christmas. So I kind of like to separate those and do them differently. So that's why we now have Thanksgiving out on my table. For Halloween, I hope y'all had fun. It's a time just to be silly and, do all that kind of fun stuff with your kids or as adults, whatever. Okay. Our kids are grown, so they don't go trick-or-treating. I think my daughter might do stuff with friends, parties and stuff. My son, he's just, a little hermit, and he wants to stay in his little cave room. So he doesn't do much either. My husband and I did do something fun. Now I kind of have to pull him into some of this kind of stuff, but we do stuff with our friends every Friday night. And this last Friday, which was Halloween Eve, it was my turn to pick what we were going to do. So we did a pumpkin carving night, and everybody had to go get their own pumpkins, which there's a whole pumpkin of how one person almost lost their pumpkin for good, and Thankfully, it didn't break and it was still usable. I won't go into that. This video is going to be long enough. So we were going to do pumpkin carvings. Everybody had to get their own pumpkin, do their own research to figure out what kind of design they wanted, make sure they had all their stuff for them. We were just going to do the activity there on Friday night, so you had to be prepared. So I had no expectations from anybody. I had no idea what was going to happen, who was going to do what, if they were really going to get into it, if they were going to just kind of do a simple pumpkin and that's all they felt that they could do or all they wanted to do. So I had no expectations. I was pleasantly surprised. It turned out to be a very fun evening and laughing a lot. So I'm going to show you those pumpkins. The first two are going to be from our friends. I think I'll do the first one will be Jerry's, and the second one will be Peggy's, and that way you can kind of see who did what. I did take these pictures in portrait mode instead of landscape mode, so they will be kind of the narrow version on your screen. So I apologize for that. They won't be quite as big to see, but they're still great to look at. So here's those two. And then got my husband and mine. We'll show you those now. First, I'll show you my husband's pumpkin. He surprised me on what he did. He did a really good job. And then I will show you mine. So as you can see, we had a lot of fun. Nobody knows what to expect when I get involved in things. It could just be, who knows? So, I've done a Frankenstein pumpkin before. I've done like a little pumpkin skeleton thing coming out of a bigger pumpkin. I've done a mummy pumpkin. I've done lots of different kinds of pumpkins. So when I was looking through ideas and researching what I wanted to do, I came across that idea and it was like, yes, that's it. So as soon as I got done with mine, I am in a fit of giggles because I just can't stop laughing at it. It's cracking me up. So then, of course, everybody else is looking at it and they are, the comments are like, wow, that's wow. And every single time I saw it afterwards, I just started giggling again. And, you know, other people were kind of giggling along too. So it wasn't just me doing it. But we left the pumpkins there at their house because, for one, I didn't really want to try and transport it back to our house with all of that fake blood all over the place, and the different parts that were for it. So we left them there on their porch, and I did ask later, how many kids did it end up scaring? And they said they didn't get a whole lot of trick-or-treaters, and I don't know what that means in comparison to what they've gotten before. One of their grandsons, who is, you know, young, like 3, he didn't want to go past it because it was right by the door. That's where they ended up putting it. Sorry, there's a plane overhead right now. Then one of the other family members, they've, you know, husband, kids and everything, they were startled by it, but they, you know, didn't really get scared of it. The night that we made them, one of the daughters, the adult daughters, had gone somewhere, and when she came home, it startled her too. So did its job, and it was a lot of fun. So we had, you know, laughs about it too. But yeah, it was a winner. That night was a winner. The Halloween that we had here in our house, because we live about 40 minutes from them, so we're not in the same town. Last year, it seemed like there was something going on somewhere else down the street, at either a church or some house or something was having, potentially, I'm guessing this because I don't know for sure, some kind of Halloween get together party or whatever, as if, you know, like they felt like they needed a safe gathering for who, I don't even know how they got the word out. So I don't know. The only reason I know is that we got hardly any trick-or-treaters last year, and I kept seeing trick-or-treaters walking down the street, all going the same direction, and then later that night, all going home, heading away from that direction. So that's why I was guessing that they had to have had some kind of event going on. So this year I had no idea what to expect. We had hardly any last year, and with COVID going on, who knew? Who knew how many trick-or-treaters we would end up having? So I did get some candy. I didn't get a ton of candy. I figured if there are a lot, I'll just pass out what I have, and then I'll have to turn out my light. We got a fairly decent number of trick-or-treaters. And surprisingly, not a lot of them wearing masks. So you just never know. You really don't. I was glad to see them. I thought, you know, it's great being able to see people out and about. And I think with the kids not really getting to go to school and do stuff, they are starved for this kind of stuff. They want to have interaction with other kids, and they want to be able to do stuff. They want to have kind of a little bit more of a normal time to their lives. So I was all for it. I was all for it. Bring on the trick-or-treaters. So that was great. Something else that I've been doing, and I did mention this, I think a month ago, so two videos ago, is that I was working on this dresser that I was changing into a vanity. So I got it, and it's a used dresser. It's not a brand new one, but it had enough character and it was the right size and everything. So I wanted to use that. I had to sand all of the paint off of it, stain it, put some varnish on it, polyurethane it, cutting hole out of the tops for the drain to be able to go down in. I'm going to still have to mess around with some drawers so that I cut those to make room for the plumbing to be able to pass through those. So I haven't done the drawers yet, but I've got the hardware on. Everything else is done. So I'm going to show you a before of what it looked like. I did end up sanding that top drawer before I took the picture video, so you'll see that doesn't have paint on it still. And then I'm going to show you the after, and man, what a difference. And it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So here, I'm going to put those in now. And this is not all fully attached. The sink is sitting just on top. I have some paper towels underneath there just to keep it from scratching the surface until it gets, you know, really installed. And same with the faucet. Faucet's just sitting there so that I can show you what it is going to look like. Oh yeah, this turned out fabulous. These holes right here, there's one here and there's one on the bottom down here, were locks. The original hardware is both for the handles and for that were brass type. They were old looking and they were interesting, but not really what I wanted. So I need to find something to put in there to make it look like a lock, even though they don't function. So as you can see, it turned out spectacular. I couldn't have asked for anything better. The only thing that, I mean, it was a pain getting all that paint off because it would gum up my sandpaper, and I had some really rough sandpaper on my machine. It would gum it up, and I had to go through so much sandpaper. And with everything going on, you know, you've probably seen stores don't have all the supplies they normally do, or they're shorthanded on those. For whatever reason, sandpaper was one of those things. So I had a little bit of a hard time getting it at times. So that wasn't fun. When I went to do the stain, if you look at the little cans of stain, it's Minwax is the one I was using. They have a little strip that kind of shows you what the color is on the outside of the can. That is not always truly accurate. In fact, several, and I know that a lot of the shades can be pretty close to each other, but it seemed like several of the cans, the little color square looked identical on the cans. So it was really hard to know exactly what I was getting. So I was kind of doing my best guess. So what I had gotten was a little can of, they call it honey, and it was still kind of a darker. It wasn't like a yellow or really soft brown color. It was a little bit more in the middle range of darkness. So I got that, brought it home, put it on, waited to let it all dry, because it's kind of like paint. You gotta let paint dry in order to see the true color of it. Let it dry and came out and looked at it the next day, and it looked red. It was much more of a reddish color. It's like, this is not what I want at all. So I didn't really want to go super dark, but because it was got that reddish color and it was already kind of on the darker side, it's like, I'm going to have to go really dark to get another stain to put on top of that in order to, you know, cover up that reddish. So I picked espresso, and I have used what they call the espresso color for stain that's an outside, like a decking stain. So it's already got a built-in water beater. You know, it beads up the water off the wood. So I kind of knew what I was getting into when I got that. So I got that and I put it over the top of the red, let it dry, came back, and it was awesome. And as you can see, that's what I turned out with. So it is darker. It's not like so dark that it's black, but it is dark. And because of that honey stain that was under it, the reddish color, it kind of shows through a little bit on the darker stain. It's gorgeous. I love it. I am so excited to get it back up into that bathroom and finish up the bathroom. I don't know when that's going to be, because I really want to finish my son's room first. So, I don't know. Stay tuned. Eventually, you'll hear or probably see pictures of what I finally got knit in there. Okay, let's do some stitching stuff now. We've talked about a whole bunch of other stuff for way too long. I had, I think, 3 stitching projects that I worked on. It's kind of just the way it worked. I had a little bit more time to work for since last video, then a bunch of time, and now a little bit more. So let's see here. So I had showed you that I had switched to do this because the other autumny type one I really wasn't liking. So I switched to this, and it was a very quick stitch. A very quick stitch. I actually got it done in the 10 days. So there it is. It's all finished. All finished. Now this, let me see if I can show you here. This has buttons. So there's one there, there's one there, and there's one over here. This is not the buttons that they called for. So the buttons that they had on there, a little smaller, got a flower there. You got this and the same one over here. Mine are bigger, obviously, because I went to Acorns and Threads to get buttons, and I didn't see the ones I wanted. Plus, in their little tray, they had little tags for all the buttons, and I didn't even see the description, a tag with the description of the buttons that I needed. So it looked like they didn't even have them in stock to begin with. So I did not have this with me. I had the chart, but not the actual stitch project. And I thought, well, I'll just get the best that I can. So the flower is a little bit big, but you know what? It's okay. And then I got a leaf and an acorn. So I got acorn and leaf. And they are a little bit bigger, but you know what? I think it works just fine. They're different, but they're fine. So that's great. It's all done, and I actually probably should put it out with my Thanksgiving stuff, even if it's not finished. I think I'll do that. So that was project 1 that I got some work on. The other one that I did, let's pull that out, is, I don't feel like I'm quite as organized as I usually am, but that's the way it goes, was this. So this is by Barbara Anna. Wind's blowing just a tad here. Let It Snow. So you can see it's like a pair of scissors with Christmassy stuff on, around, hanging from, etc. So, was working on that. When I started working on this again after my one day in January, I had done this little bit of the scissors and the house, that house. So just a little, this little area right here. That's all I had done. So I got quite a bit done. I don't know if it's just a fast stitch or if I'm just a quick stitcher. I don't know. There it is. There it is so far. So I've gotten a lot, you know, the handles all done. I'm not quite to the end of the blade. Still got to do a little more there. And then a lot of the stuff around the scissors. So, liking it, liking it. Liking it a lot. It's kind of weird stitching trees that are brown. Just not used to doing that here in the Pacific Northwest. Because these are trees that are like fir trees. That should be green. Okay? That tree next to the house is a fir tree. That should be brown. Or not brown, that should be green. So, yeah. Squirrel. We got our squirrel here. I love the scroll work in the scissor handles. It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Very happy with that. That won't take too much longer to get done because I do have, I've got the girl, I've got another house and some flowers and a little bit down here. So it is not going to take too long to finish that up. So happy with that. Happy with that. And I am going to try and put this stuff away as I go as well. We'll see. So that's project 2. And then I did get into another one. Let's see, where are you? Okay. So I picked up again plum pudding. Very cute. Very cute. So this is a Brenda Gervais. I kind of had, when I first picked this, when I had first started stitching in January, I had kind of had to jump around because I don't think I had the red when I started. So I was missing some color, and so I kind of had to jump around. I'm pretty sure I had her apron done, and I had some of this, a little bit of this green. I think her spatula that she's holding in her hand. I think that's about it. And I've still got some time. I probably only worked on this for about 5 days. So I've got some time still to stitch on this. I may be able to finish it. I just don't know for sure. So here it is. So sweet. I'm loving mice. Love the mice. So cute. So, there really isn't a ton left. I do have, the biggest part is probably down here, this flower container. So if you can see, I've got the flower container to do, a little bit more border, her rolling pin that she's standing on down at the bottom, and that's about it. Obviously the cup that's in front of the flower container too, but that's about it. So I think I might finish this in the 10 days that I have allotted to work on this. I have already gotten what I'm going to use to finish this project off. It's just sitting in my kitchen waiting for me because this is Christmassy and I want to have it ready for when Christmas comes. Something else that I have done is I have made I've made actually a couple. I made a really small one. It was probably only about this big. And then I made a bigger one. And now I made a really big one. And now you're probably wondering, what on earth have you made? Well, it is, I know that tells you nothing, doesn't it? It's this. And what it is, it's kind of like one of those floss buddies. So as I mentioned, and it's pretty long, I have made one that holds about, I think around 24 flosses. And then the other one I made was just, it holds 9, so a small one, just depending on the project. Well, I'm working on a project that I'm not showing you because it's going to be a surprise. I needed much more. I needed about 40 spots to put floss in. And so I needed a bigger one. So I made one that was much bigger. And so it just, what I do is I fold it in this way and then fold it up. So it's kind of like a book. So happy that that turned out. I mean, there's some things that I would tweak and do a little bit differently. I wasn't too worried about aesthetics because it was just for me, and I wanted to get it done because I had been using something else to try and keep those flosses, and they were starting to drive me crazy, so I needed it done ASAP. Alrighty, so I think those are the stitching projects that I have worked on. I'm trying to remember when this was now. Has it been a week? A little over a week ago, the Pacific Northwest retreat happened. It was a Saturday. We were supposed to do this all in person in September, and then COVID hit, and wham, we couldn't do it anymore. So we had to postpone it a little bit later because with fires and everything going on, you know, Beth Twist was one of the designers who was going to be presenting her project. And she was being basically, she had to leave her home for a little while. She was in a level that she had to evacuate for a little while. So she couldn't really get stuff to us. And then Paulette, I think she was having problems getting some stuff sent to her so she could kit it up to send to us. So it's just a whole mess of things going on. So it kind of got delayed and we weren't able to do it until October. So some of the fun things that we got was, this is actually a needle minder. It's a rock. Yes, it's a rock. So they thought that, and Jerry is the one who made these for everybody. They thought that a rock would represent the Pacific Northwest, and that would make a kind of interesting little needle minder to have. So we got those lovely little gems. Then the projects that we got, and these were exclusive, obviously whenever you go to a retreat, usually you have something like that. Exclusive for now. I think that eventually they will get released. This was the one, and I can't tell if I've got a glare because I'm already having a glare on my phone, and so I can't tell if it's glaring off of the plastic as well. So it says, gather with grateful hearts. So, you know, we would have gathered together in person, but we had to do it via the Zoom meeting. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Comes with all of the flosses. So we got some Week, some DMC. I'm not sure what the other one is. It's on a card. You can see it's like a floss card type thing here. Possibly Gentle Arts, I'm guessing. And then the fabric that comes with it. It's very cute. It's very, very cute. So we got that. And then the ones that we got from Beth for Heartstring Samplery was this one. And that says, my wish, may your dreams come true from it's covered up, so it's kind of hard. I can't remember what it says. It says something until we meet again. So maybe you can see it's covered up by her decorations that she used to do this. So basically, we can't meet, so until we meet again. And then she also sent this. She had this to come with it, and it says, "May all your dreams come true." So it's just a little small. You can use whatever you want, whether you pin cushion or whatever. Very, very cute. Now, she said that when she designed this, and there's inside here, there's a chart as well that shows kind of an outline diagram of all of these flowers, and they're numbered so that you can tell what flower it is, because she's got a description underneath it. So they're all flowers native to here, to the Pacific Northwest, possibly just Oregon. So a lot of cool little things. Obviously, there's a lot of butterflies. I don't know if all the butterflies are necessarily, possibly moths as well. I don't know if they're all native just to this area or not. She didn't talk about those. I just remember the flowers. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. It was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing all the faces that I haven't seen for a long time. We haven't had meetups, so I haven't been able to see these people. So not only people that I might normally see on a monthly basis if we had our little meetups, but faces from other states. I got to see, one person that that lives in Minnesota, so I haven't been able to see her for a couple years. So it was awesome, and it was a nice surprise because I didn't know who was going to go, and I don't keep in contact with everybody, so it's kind of like I saw as soon as the Zoom started and pictures started popping up as people started joining, and when hers was on there, it's just like, yeah, hello, and I'm messaging her, hello, I'm so glad to see you. I wish we could do this in person. And yeah, it was a great night or day. We had lots of good conversations, and everything went real well. So fun stuff. And I'm sure if you've watched other people's videos, they've talked about the retreat too. So I'm not going to really go in too depth into it. So yeah. Alrighty, now let's talk about family a little bit, just for a tiny little bit. I know that's not necessarily what you're here for. We've had a lot of things going on around here with family, specifically job related stuff. You want the good news or the bad news first? Let's do the good news first. So my son has, as I've mentioned in videos, finally had gotten a job. He's been there a couple of months. They really, really like him. He does a great job. So it's been really nice hearing that back. But then I found out the other day that for the month of October, he was picked as Employee of the Month. And this is for the whole building. It's not just in his area that he works in. So that's pretty awesome. It's great when you hear back that your kids are doing great and that you've hopefully raised them well and to have good work ethic as well as good moral values, all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of nice. Our daughter actually sent a text to my husband and was saying, thank you for raising us the right way. And you're like, what does that mean? Why are you saying that? So after asking, she's like, well, that you raised us to work hard and to own up to your mistakes when you make them, and all those kinds of things, and that I appreciate that you did that because I'm doing it, and it's frustrating when you see people who aren't. So that was also a nice blessing to see, to hear from her and hear that, because they don't always say it. So on the other end, you got the good news, and then you got the bad news is that a week ago, it was just effective, today was the last day, but my husband got laid off from his job. I know a lot of people have been dealing with this kind of stuff because that's these are the times. Companies can't keep their employees for one reason or another. Either they had to close down completely, or they've had to cut way back because they just don't have the sales or the funding in order to keep all those employees. And his company was one of those that has had rounds of layoffs. So it wasn't a shock, because he's had people close to him in his field where he works that have gotten laid off, and they're saying, be aware, it could be coming, and finally did. So it wasn't that his performance was bad, and that was the reflection. It was just they eliminated the position, basically, because they felt like they could do without, with the cutbacks, that they could do without that particular position. The people that he worked with, or vendors or whatever, they're all like, well, who's going to take your place? And they're, nobody. They've eliminated the position, and they're kind of horrified because they feel like he is needed and that position is needed. So he has had some contacts with people that he's dealt with because of work. Also, that the company itself said that they have ways to help you look for positions elsewhere. So I'm not worried about this. We went through this 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. Actually, it's been right about 5 years. When we moved back out here from Minnesota, we had planned to do it in the summer, and then in the fall previous to that, is when he got laid off from that company, because it was just, they were all cutting back there too. And he went on interviews, and he would send out resumes, and you would hear back from certain companies, and it sounded extremely positive, and they would say they really want you and whatnot, and then it would all fall through. And that happened over and over again. And so we have learned, you don't get excited about anything until they have hired you, and everything is for sure. So even though it sounds like at least one contact, if not a couple of contacts, might be really good prospects, we've kind of learned to curb our enthusiasm, basically, and just see how things go, and hope for the best. And I am not stressing. I'm not worried about it. Partially because we have been through this and we know kind of the drill. But as a Christian, we know that the Lord is in control. The Lord is guiding what we need to do and where we need to be. And it'll all happen according to his timetable and what we need to do. As long as we're doing our part, that's all we can expect. And, know that that's what's going to happen. So, as you can see, we've had a lot of changes, a lot of things going on around here. One thing I do want to do before we are done is that I know we just hit November, but it always seems that if you don't kind of do things quite a bit ahead of time, that all of a sudden something happens, whether it's a season, a holiday, whatever, and you're like, I'm behind the times already for what I wanted to do. So I am going to do a giveaway. And there's reason for this. And the reason I'm doing this now is because it's more of a Christmas giveaway. And I want to have time for the 2 weeks between my videos before I announce who won, and that I can get it to them and that they have it before Christmas. As you can see, it all kinds of piles up on each other. And if you don't do stuff, then it's not going to happen on time. So I had got this, and I had gotten it at a thrift store, actually, and they did not know what they had because they had it priced ridiculously low. It was a whole kit. It was a whole kit. Now, I used, or I'm going to use, or something, I'm going to use the fabric that was in there. So this will not have the fabric, but it will have everything else. And it does not look like it is a reproduction, photocopy or anything. It looks like the real deal, like it really is a kit from somewhere. So even though when I was looking at the picture, the way they show this picture of this, it almost looks like, well, somebody kind of cheated and photocopied this and did their own little thing, but it really does look like it's the kit. So it is a Mirabilia. I believe it's called Holly. It's really pretty. If you're really into Mirabilias, this is going to be your thing. So very pretty. So chart, obviously I'm not really showing you anything. It's got the list of all of the DMC, the beads. There is an anchor thread that you needed, some Krynic, Rainbow Gallery, all that. This pattern, so very big, and then you turn it over, and this. So you can't really see anything. I did it too quickly for you. It's front and back, so nobody's going to take the time to put on a giant piece like this, front and back, and photocopy it like that. That's one of the reasons, plus some of the other stuff. So I'm going to show you everything that it comes with. We've got the beautiful threads, and it is on like a card, like somebody made these cards for this kit. These threads look extremely long, so you're probably going to end up cutting them down to the right size. So you get those. As I said, you get an anchor, so it's kind of this silky type stuff. You get some of the Krynics that they've wound, whatever you need, as well as the whisper stuff. Okay. You also get, this is a DMC, it says 283Z. It's like a silver. Okay, so you get that, and then you get all the beads. All the beads that you need. Okay. So, and it does come with a needle, in case you want it. I know most of us have our own needles, and when you're putting on beads, you need a different needle anyway. Oh, and there it is. It's in there. I don't know, you can see it. So the needle is inside with the beads. So it's a whole kit. It's the whole kit and caboodle, people. So if you are wanting to enter into this, I will pull the name in about, when I do my next video, which is usually 2 weeks. So hopefully you have watched this video before that happens. So that's going to be about mid-November is when I will do my next video. Hopefully you will have watched this and you'll be able to get your name in if you want it. So in the comments, I want you, I would like to stitch Holly, is what you need to say, so that I can put your name in the running for this drawing. I will go ahead and ship this overseas. If you're an overseas person, just know that it's probably not going to get there by Christmas. But I will fork out the money to make sure you can get this shipped to you if you're really wanting it. So anyway, I think that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed the lovely sunshine. Somebody's working on something over there. I'm hearing a drill type thing going on, so hopefully that's not too distracting. But get to see, I did mow today, so it's probably the last time I will get to mow, or one of the last times. You just never know. Every time I say, oh, it's going to rain and be yucky for the rest of the year, and then we get days like this. So hopefully you're having a great week. Hopefully everything's going well with you and that you're not, feeling too confined. I know I can feel that way sometimes. It's like, I just wish the world would get back to normal. But hopefully you all are hanging in there. We'll get through this, people. As I always say, we will get through this. It will end eventually, and hopefully sooner rather than later. So with that, I will say goodbye, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.